Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to the First Unitarian Fellowship of Nanaimo. Our mission is to create spiritual connection and bring compassion, discovery, and social justice to life. My name is Larry Bolt, and I have the honor and privilege to be your service leader this morning. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Now, I just ask you to please take a moment to turn off your cell phones, and I know you've probably already done that, so just don't forget to turn them back on when you leave. I've missed calls that way myself. So we want to say hello to all those that are on Zoom today watching us. So if you turn around and you see the little green frog up there, wave there, because that's where the camera is. And when you turn around, you'll see them all here waving back at you. Hello, folks. Whatever your hopes, dreams, aspirations, whatever your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, whatever makes you who you are warmly welcomed here today. In keeping with our Unitarian Universalist aspiration of radical inclusion, we invite you to share your pronouns as well as your name when introducing yourself, if you are comfortable doing so. And we're grateful for a diversity of voices on Sunday mornings, and our services vary from week to week. Our service is between 60 and 75 minutes long. If this is your first time with us, a very special welcome to you. And if you're joining us online, please consider sharing your contact information with us. You can share it with the host by going to the chat icon at the bottom of the screen and just click on that and put in your message. We'd love to welcome you to our community. We have a website, ufon.ca, and that's spelled UFON.ca, and invite you to check it out for more detailed information about who we are, the services we offer, and how you can connect with us. We acknowledge today that we meet on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. As Unitarians, we're committed to the work of the reconciliation required to address the harm done to all Indigenous peoples and their cultures by non-Indigenous peoples. We have much to learn from the Indigenous perspective, including that the earth is the source of all life and that our responsibility is to honor and care for it. We only have one announcement today, and it's one you've heard me say here recently. And I had a conversation last night at our Pie Day. How many were here last night for the Pie Day? Yeah. I really enjoyed that spaghetti pie. That was good. But if you look through our website lately, ufon.ca, I think you might agree that some of the photos are a little outdated and needs some updates. So our communications committee is calling on you to take photos of the many activities that take place here. I know there was a lot last night taken, that was good. Social events, the book club, choir rehearsals, film nights, meetings, rallies, post-coffee chats. Hey, could do that at post-coffee chat today. Picnics, whatever helps the fellowship story. A few guidelines. We want to make sure that everyone in your photo has agreed to have their picture taken, and because it's going to be public. And no picture taking during this Sunday services. Action shots and close-ups make for more interesting photos, and don't forget to label them. If you have questions or some photos you'd like to submit, please contact Tony Turner. He's not here today, but his number is, you can get from me later, or his email as well. Of course, his email is simple. It's tony@tonyturner.ca. And if you want to find out about all the special events, groups, and meetings taking place in our hall, you can go to the calendar on our website, read the weekly email sent to you on Fridays, or check the large whiteboards in the hall by the washrooms. And that's just through this door here to the right. So let us now enter into sacred time with our music director, Leah Hawkinson. She'll lead us into worship through music.
Good morning, everyone. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit, and we're going to sing together hymn number 1009, Meditation on Breathing. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out,
Welcome to this place of reflection, fellowship, and inner growth. I'm Rev Ashley, and it is my honor to serve as your minister here. As we enter into this time of sacred awareness, I invite you to rest. Rest in this present moment with an open heart. Simply let this moment be as it is. Our chalice lighting today comes from Pat Urbe Lichty. The chalice is a symbol of our faith. Like our faith, it is not magic, nor is it mysterious. We light it as a reminder of what we share as a community and of who each of us is called to be. When we feel lost in a chaotic world, may the light of our chalice show us our path. When we are afraid of the times we live in, may the light of our chalice give us courage. When we despair at the injustice and cruelty around us, may the light of our chalice recall us to a faithful hope. Our chalice is a symbol of our commitment to each other and to ourselves. We light it today as a gathered community that we may understand more completely and act more boldly and hope more fiercely. Leah gonna sing us a song about pie now?
In honor of Pi Day, I'm going to sing a song to help us memorize the 100 digits of pi. And you will be tested after. Brace yourselves. This is pi, followed by 2653589, circumference over diameter. 79, then 323. Oh my God, can't you see? 846254, and now we're on a spree. 38 and 32. Now we're blue. Oh, who knew? 7,950. Then 2. 88 and 41, so much fun, now a run. 97169393751, halfway done. 058, now don't be late. 209, where's the wine? 74, it's on the floor, then 94459. 230, we gotta go. 78, we can't wait. 1640628, we're almost near the end. Keep going. 62, we're getting through. 0899 on time. 8628034, there's only a few more. 8 and 2, then 5 and 3. 42, 11, 70, and 67. Now we're done. Wasn't that fun? Learning random digits so that you can brag to your friends.
That was great. Thank you. Thank you very much. And to follow that up, all those who are young of spirit or young of body are invited to come.
And for those who haven't been with us for the last week or two and heard about pi, yesterday was the third month. Yesterday was the 14th day, 3.14. That's why we celebrate. And at this point, I would like to invite Nancy Steeves to the front to share her testimonial of why she pledges to our annual canvas.
Thank you, Larry. You're anticipating that I'm short. As Larry said, my name is Nancy, and the pronouns I most identify with are she, her, and hers. And on behalf of our household, of my spouse, Dawn, and myself, I'd like to take a few minutes to share with you why we pledge our time and our energy and our financial support to this fellowship. As many of you too have experienced, one of the opportunities that retirement brings to our lives is the gift of being able to choose to live in a landscape that makes our hearts sing. It's been true for some of you that this stage of life, like it has been for us, geography has always been determined up until now by birth or education or employment. And in 2024, we were able to enjoy the gift of retirement and make a move from Edmonton to Qualicum Beach. So we left prairie skies for that expansive shoreline where water meets land. And we left boreal forest for rainforest. And we left a 4-hour drive to the Rockies to see coastal mountains on just about every horizon. And I don't need to say anything about the temperature differential that we left, nor do I need to say anything about the dominant color we left behind for green. But we also left a radically inclusive, non-theistic, musically rich, non-creedal, values-based spiritual community where we had the privilege of giving our time and our energy and our leadership and our financial support for 2 decades. And we had absolutely no doubt that we would find communion in this landscape, a landscape we had long loved. And we trusted that the community of friends that we had across the island would be, for us, a place that was of mutual support and caring community. But we had absolutely every doubt that we would ever find a progressive spiritual community anywhere close to where we lived that could be a place of engagement and nurture without the mental gymnastics to try to translate it into some meaning. Until one September Sunday, we made our way through these doors. And Leah, you had us before you finished the first song. You sang "The River Knows," inviting us to live like the river flows into the ever unfolding now. And that gently nudged us into our new now. We resonated with the barrier-free language that we found and the diverse spiritual paths intertwined here that are all rooted in values that are shaped as principles. So it wasn't long before we found common cause with you, and we began to invest our time and our energy and our presence and our financial support here. I don't know how it is for you, but for me, spiritual community is not primarily an organization to join. It's an organism, life-enhancing relationship to which we give ourselves in order to collectively contribute to the health of an ecosystem That ecosystem having at least three dimensions, being personal, social, and global. The personal spiritual quest that each of us have as meaning-making creatures, and the collective search we share for a more just and a more fair social arrangement with one another, and the global commitments we all have to a healthy earth, home for life, for the human and the more than human. And for me, this fellowship, this spiritual community is not primarily a charitable club to which I pay dues. It's a way of being in relationship with you in order to strengthen my capacity to live my highest human values and to make a positive difference in a very wounded world. And that depends on each of us investing what we can. It's not just about giving, it's about investing. Each of us contributing according to our capacity, where every commitment, whether it's of time or talent, of energy or means, is valued and valuable. And where those of us who can identify what it is we believe that we can contribute financially, gives the possibility of having solid planning and making stable commitments possible. But each of us brings the greatest gift we have, the gift of presence to one another. That, empowered by who we are together, we can keep touching a beautiful and a troubled world with reverence and with compassion. May we each pledge to be and do and give what we can to make that so.
Thank you for that, Nancy. So last week we said we'd reached the 30% of our goal. So Howard, can you show us how much we've pledged? And drum roll, please, Leah. That's last week's, and this week we're at 42% with 42,000 raised so far. So we look at it that myself and you and everyone, we're called a pledge unit. That's just the technical term. And we have 71 pledge units in our congregation, and we have 31 who have pledged thus far. So we're looking for those extra 40 to please jump in with us. And the information package went out on March 5th via email. So if you haven't seen it, check your spam folder, your junk folder. And if you don't want to do it by email, just see Brenda here at the back table with the red stripe here on. Looks like something out of a pirate movie or something, but and she'll have the pledge forms right there for you. Thank you, everyone, for your contributions and your support for this wonderful fellowship. So, for those of us in the hall, Charla and Bill will now pass the baskets for the offering. And for those of us here for the first or second time, please consider your presence to be your contribution. Feel free to let the basket pass you by. Those online can go to our website and click the big blue button at the bottom that says donate. And that's on our homepage, and you're able to do that and make your contribution from there. To help the wider community, half of all cash donations will be given to our charity of the month. This month is Community Circles Restorative Justice Society, a nonprofit that provides restorative justice and conflict mediation services for free to individuals, groups, and organizations in Vancouver Island. Now, if your your donations by e-transfer or check, and you want to I'm going to start this sentence over. It's all that pie last night. If your donation is by e-transfer or check and you want it to be shared with the charity of the month, please make a note of that on your e-transfer or your check. And for those of you who don't carry cash, we now accept donations via debit or credit cards. That can be done at our welcoming table with our young pirate there. I'm just being cheeky. By the entry doors, Brenda and the ladies there will take care of it after the service. Thank you for your generosity towards our congregation and our community.
We are a community that seeks to be present to one another, especially in times of great joy or sorrow. Now is the time in our service when we make space to listen deeply to significant losses and milestones. If you're in the sanctuary, I invite you to come and share your name and your joy or sorrow from the mic here. And as you share, Larry will place a stone into our bowl of water for you. All the joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken. We hold in our hearts all that has been shared. And I invite you to join in a moment of silence for prayer or meditation as you are called.
We share in love, we listen in love, we hold one another in love. Each joy and concern we witness and learn and grow together in love and grow together in love.
Today's reading is from the Dalai Lama. The view that all aspects of reality can be reduced to matter and its various particles is, to my mind, as much a metaphysical position as the view that an organizing intelligence created and controls reality. One of the principal problems with a radical scientific materialism is the narrowness of vision that results and the potential for nihilism that might ensue. Nihilism, materialism, and reductionism are above all problems from a philosophical and especially a human perspective, since they can potentially impoverish the way we see ourselves. For example, whether we see ourselves as random biological creatures or as special beings endowed with the dimension of consciousness and moral capacity will make an impact on how we feel about ourselves and treat others. In this view, many dimensions of the full reality of what it is to be human, art, ethics, spirituality, goodness, beauty, and above all, consciousness, either are reduced to the chemical reactions of firing neurons or are seen as a matter of purely imaginary constructs. The danger is that human beings may be reduced to nothing more than biological machines, the products of pure chance in the random combination of genes, with no purpose other than the biological imperative of reproduction. It is difficult to see how questions such as the meaning of life or good and evil can be accommodated within such a worldview. The problem is not with the empirical data of science, but with the contention that these data alone constitute the legitimate ground for developing a comprehensive worldview or an adequate means for responding to the world's problems. There is more to human existence and to reality itself than current science can ever give us access to. By the same token, spirituality must be tempered by the insights and discoveries of science. If, as spiritual practitioners, we ignore the discoveries of science, our practice is also impoverished, as this mindset can lead to fundamentalism. Please rise as you're able and join us in singing song number 139, Wonders Still the World Shall Witness.
So a lot of you made it to the potluck yesterday, the Pi Day potluck. It was a lot of fun. Pi, of course, for those who weren't there, is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. And it's an essential concept in math and science and technology. Unitarian Universalists are probably the only religious tradition that will organize a Pi Day celebration. We really value science a lot because the scientific method is in line with our tradition of appealing to reason and experience rather than blind faith and authority. UUs accept the validity of science. And when scientific evidence points to an understanding of the world, we'll even change our view with evidence. which is really key to the scientific method. And the thing that makes the scientific method is our hypothesis will change with new information. Creeds and faith claims don't change with new information. A biologist would change their understanding of vaccines if vaccines suddenly stopped working. But the claim that the earth is 6,000 years old, because that's what the Bible supposedly says, generally will not change no matter how much evidence is given. So we UUs often think of ourselves as a thinking person's faith. We're the reasonable ones, right? Yeah. We believe in science. But the idea of reason, of being reasonable, can be a really tricky thing. Reason has this history of being seen as something that is uniquely accessible to powerful men, especially white men, with women and people of color stereotyped as less reasonable, more emotional, less intelligent. So we all carry a little bit of that implicit bias without wanting to. And for some people, it's not implicit at all. They lean into it, especially in recent years. I do think that reason is an important aspect of our tradition. It's one of our sources. And I have an appreciation for the scientific method. But there are ways that we can interpret concepts of science and reason that can cause problems. So one of the biggest issues is that we believe in a static idea of science rather than the actual scientific method. We have this idea that science is a way to find absolute truth, or that it already has the absolute truth in the same way that religion claims to have absolute truth. But that's not what science is. Much like our Unitarian Universalist faith, science is a process of working toward truth. And it's never settled for all time because we're always getting more information. The best we can ever say is that an experiment has been replicated a lot. And enough that we accept a particular theory of how something works. And that's frustrating, especially because people who believe in absolute truth tend to question the scientific method when new evidence changes that consensus understanding, rather than recognizing that that's just part of what it means to practice the scientific method. So we try to explain to these people, who are particularly dangerous during the pandemic, for instance, that no, something being just a theory doesn't mean the same thing as just an idea someone had. Evolution being a theory or germ theory being a theory doesn't mean that any other idea has the same amount of evidence for it. But sometimes we try to express this or even understand it ourselves by taking a cognitive shortcut and acting as if things that have been replicated using a lot of good methods are absolute truth. Maybe more dangerously, we tend to make invisible the faith claims that are often implicit in our own understandings of science. Those faith claims aren't essential to science, but a lot of people, and even a lot of scientists sometimes, assume that they are. And the thing about science, and what's different about a faith based on reason, science doesn't make absolute claims. Science and Unitarian Universalism never insist that the book is closed on new possibilities. The most problematic assumption people tend to make about science is that science as a method is synonymous with scientific materialism as a metaphysical view. Scientific materialism as a metaphysical view is the faith claim that the only reality that exists is material reality. And from that, it follows logically that a lot of versions of God couldn't possibly exist. Many other religious beliefs are false. It's a fine thing to believe as a faith claim, but it is a faith claim. The scientific method doesn't imply that scientific materialism as a worldview is superior to any other worldview. The scientific method can only respond to questions about material reality and can only measure material reality. And that's not the same as science being able to confirm that material reality is the only reality. There are 3 assumptions we can make about the beginning of the universe. First, that there is only material reality, and that material reality started out from nothing, probably at the Big Bang. Second, that there is something that exists outside of material reality, and material reality was started by that other something. Some people might call it God. And either it was started at the Big Bang or at some other time. Or third, that material reality is beginningless and endless. Maybe there was more than one Big Bang. Maybe there's even more than one universe and on top of each other or something. They all go on forever. Scientific materialism as a metaphysical view makes the assumption that there's nothing except for material reality. But ironically, that's a claim that can never be backed up by material evidence. Scientific materialists feel like the universe probably started from nothing, and they haven't had any personal experience that makes them suspect anything else. Feeling like the universe started from nothing isn't any more provable than the feeling that it didn't. There won't be evidence to back any of those feelings up. The only evidence science can offer is necessarily going to be material evidence, because science doesn't concern itself with anything else. That's not what it's for. Science can't give an answer about what mystical experiences mean. Someday it might tell you which brain region and nerves were involved, but it can't interpret the meaning for us. Now, as I said, it's a very reasonable assumption to make if you believe that material reality started on its own, out of nothing, because any of those 3 assumptions about how the universe has started is just a faith claim. They're all possible. It's just a matter of which one feels true to you. So it's not a problem to make that assumption. Where it gets to be a problem is if we assume that our belief is somehow more advanced or better than someone else's. If we somehow feel that we're more emotionally advanced because we can handle the hard truth that when you die, or more intelligent because we can see the obvious reality that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, or we're more politically conscious because we've moved beyond all that horrible religious oppression. Because when we think we're better than other people, we're going to act just like those other religious oppressors. We'll just use different words. Whether you're forcing women to wear a hijab or take a hijab off, it's the lack of consent and the use of force that's the problem. Whether you're calling for the destruction of a religious tradition because you believe your religious system is superior or because you believe secular humanism is superior, you're acting from a place of supremacy rather than concern for humanity. And we may think we're above that kind of thing because we're so progressive now, but we come out of a tradition that had boarding schools for First Nation children. And the Unitarians who led those schools thought that what they were doing was helping because they knew the obvious truth, and in their minds, the First Nations people needed to accept that truth. In the 1800s, the truth was Christianity. And maybe now some think it's science and reason that needs to be spread, but it isn't so easy to drop those colonial tendencies. We have to be careful about that. As a minister, I get to hear a lot of people blame war on religion. Everyone has a different conversation at cocktail parties when they introduce themselves. That's the one that I get. And I don't believe it's true. I think that it's fights over resources, usually divisions that are stoked as a distraction from whatever elites are doing. And it's true that religion, like any kind of social organization, can help organize harm. And it's true that spaces of personal vulnerability and trust can create opportunities for abuses. So there are dangers to religion, just like there are dangers to employment as a general concept, and to families as a way of organizing people, and to government, and to any identity-based group, and a lot of other things people do. That's why one of our UU principles is the responsibility to seek truth and meaning on our own. We never abandon that to anyone, not the minister, not the congregation, not the faith. And that's not a guarantee that we can always protect from the harms of religion, but it's one of the ways we try to build a safeguard. And even as there are harms to religion, the idea that science and scientific ideas could never be harmful is really dangerous. In the name of science, we had Nazi experiments. Science developed nuclear weapons. Science has been used to justify sterilization of First Nations people, among others. It has been used to argue that women shouldn't get an education, segregation should continue, and maybe tobacco doesn't cause cancer if a little more money can be squeezed out of it. And if you can argue that that isn't real science, in the same way that religious people will try to argue that the harms of religion aren't real religion. But any framework for understanding reality carries a possibility of abuse, and science isn't exempt from that. I have a particular concern these days with the development of technology in the absence of any real ethical framework beyond capitalism and the pursuit of power. If tech companies manage to develop robots that will do whatever they want, I don't think that's going to be a good thing for humanity. People worry about what will happen if AI doesn't do what people tell it to. I'm more worried about what will happen if it does. Science and scientific materialism are not inherently any better than religion if what we're concerned with is preventing suffering. And at the same time, I am glad agriculture figured out how to keep us all well-fed. Boy, am I glad I never got polio. Science is an incredible tool, and there's a real sense of awe and wonder to be found in science, whether we give that religious meaning or not. When I worked as a chaplain at the National Institutes of Health, I had a chance to work with patients in clinical trials who literally had their lives saved by that research. It was truly incredible. So as a UU and as a person, I absolutely celebrate the scientific method and scientists. Just think we need to maintain a sense of balance in our attitude. It's important to have an ethical framework in our approach to science. It's important to recognize the assumptions we are making and to make room for assumptions others make, so long as those assumptions aren't doing any harm. We need to be able to look honestly at whether someone's disagreement with us does cause harm or is just different. We UUs believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and each of us may have a different way of explaining why on a metaphysical level. But we need to be in that constant search for truth until we have some answers for ourselves. So we're deeply grounded in our ethics. Whatever the grounding is, whether it's scientific materialism or something else, we need to be able to draw on that even in the most difficult times, because difficult times are part of life. Hard ethical choices and deep challenges are part of being human. And they're especially present in times like ours. We need a faith that will stand up to them. So we can enjoy our Pi Day celebrations and our antibiotics. We can find our sense of wonder in the complexity of physics rather than the mystery of the Holy Trinity. We can prefer Jane Goodall to a religious text. But we need to hold on to our care for others, our openness to them, while we do it. May it be so. Amen.
Please rise in body or in spirit, and we'll sing together hymn 128, For All That Is Our Life. make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for each minute rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come in praise and thank. For all that is alive.
May you seek truth in reason and leave room for other ways of knowing. May you find awe in all of humanity's discoveries, from those celebrated in research laboratories to the small personal revelations you find on a quiet walk in the woods. May your ethics be grounded in a deep knowing and the heart essence of compassion wherever you find its source. And may you always have pie. Go in peace.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We're nearing the end of our service. After we sing Carry the Flame, you'll have an opportunity to join a social group. There are breakout rooms available online for the next 30 minutes. If you want to join an online breakout room, stay online and the host will place you there. We'll have refreshments and conversation in the hall, and I understand there's pie left over from last night, surprisingly. This is the time in the service when we give a shout out to the many people who make our Sunday services so wonderful, starting with the Sunday Services Committee, the audiovisual team, our amazing music director, Leah Hawkinson, our fantastic minister, Rev Ashley. Thank you to you and the greeters and offering collectors, those at the welcoming table, the kitchen volunteers who come early and stay late for the cleanup, those who brought food and flowers, our heartfelt gratitude to you all. And I know the coffee wasn't as good today because it wasn't the men doing it this time, like last week, but yes, I better watch what I say, right? I will say, though, that on behalf of the men, we really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun last week. So now we'll sing our... Sorry? We can have fun every week, can we? We do, as it is. After all, why not? I got the Pink Panther on today. Yeah. We'll now sing our final song, Carry the Flame. The words are in the hall in this corner over here, which is kind of hidden by our screen there, and on the back wall here. And it's our custom to stand, make a big circle in the room, and hold hands or touch elbows as you are comfortable.